Hello, Your Honor, once again. I believe this is Let's Have Court part 38, 39, something like that. Anyway, good to see you again, Your Honor. I talked about in the last video how the subject might come up about why I think what I think in court. Now, something else also occurred to me. By them never saying my name, that gives the game away again. Because we all know all the things behind the scenes they were doing and what their minions were doing and about the public relations trolling campaign designed to harass women specifically and ruin my business and reputation, which was all fine with this website, Your Honor. Again, this website, other websites back in the beginning told me the gloves are off. They allowed these people to come after me tooth and nail. They allowed trolls in the comment section all day, every day to sexually harass women. No problem. That told me, okay, the gloves are off, right? That's the way this website operates. Okay. So I was merciless with these people when they would make hard comments to people. I treated them like they treated others. Problem is for them that I'm a master at it. And some of them are probably still thinking about the things I've said to this day. Even though they were being paid $20 an hour to troll, or family members or friends of the family or minion. Who knows how this thing operates? We'll find out though in the end. Don't worry. So it gives the game away. Other people, Your Honor, were talking about this Chris Cornell's death. All kind of people all over the internet, but they were trying to attach it to what I believe is a Russian op called Pizzagate and Pedogate. These are political ideas and smears that have been used to make millions for people over the years. Unfortunately, it was all lies. So every other pundit tried to take it to the political place and involve Pizzagate and Pedogate with zero evidence, Your Honor. I looked into it extensively. There's no ties to anything like that. I was presenting a different theory. I looked at it as who had motive to do this? Who benefited? Well, in the will, in Chris Cornell's will, he left every single thing to his wife. Everything. No one else got shit. His wife is in control of it all. Everything, every penny, every piece of property, etc. So the only one who financially benefited in a major way was Chris Cornell's widow. And then you have the fact, Your Honor, that there was a man alone in the room with Chris Cornell that night that is very capable of killing or hurting someone very quickly. A man with military training and other training that he's received over the years. A lot of people attempted to paint this bodyguard person as Mossad or something. Again, these are political ideas that seep into other areas because that's all the internet is about anymore. This whole right versus left fight. So the Pizzagate stuff creeped in. I never followed any of it because I knew it was all bullshit, Your Honor. I don't jump on any conspiracy theory. That's not me either. I know people thought that was me. That was never me. I was the one guy, Your Honor, on the internet telling people none of this has anything to do with Pizzagate or Pedogate or exposing a pedophile ring. None of those people benefited. These alleged pedophile rings, etc. None of these people benefited from Chris Cornell's death. There is one person that benefited, though, seriously benefited. That's his widow. Now, again, Your Honor, everything in the will was left to the widow. And in the will, also, Chris Cornell's daughter from his first marriage was mercilessly cut out of the will. Because in the will they stated Lillian Cornell Silver is being taken care of by another document, another agreement. The only agreement we can find that remotely takes care of Lily Cornell is a divorce agreement. We can't find any other agreement. The divorce agreement between Chris Cornell and his first wife was a binding agreement even past death. If one party were to die, the mother or the father, the agreement would still be in place. We've read the documents, Your Honor. This is the only agreement we can find. It's very disappointing to learn this information about someone all of us respected and loved since we were teenagers, Chris Cornell. That somebody had the idea, we don't know if it was Chris Cornell himself, the family he married into, we don't know who's completely responsible or partially responsible. All we know is the end result. So we don't really know who to blame, but I have my thoughts on it. Anyway, the will has 2 sections that deal with the daughter from his first marriage. The opening of the will. I'm paraphrasing, Your Honor. Don't worry, I'll read you the actual text in court. The opening of the will. When I describe or talk about my children or minor children, I do not mean Lillian Cornell Silver. We're not talking about that person in this will when I talk about my minor children or children. So right at the opening of the will, or very close to the opening of the will, Your Honor, they made it a point to make sure the daughter from the prior marriage was cut out right at the beginning. Then, about 2/3 down in the will, there's a clause called disinheritance. And it states again that Lillian Cornell Silver gets nothing because there's a prior agreement, arrangement, etc. The only arrangement we were able to find was a divorce agreement. So, in my opinion, Your Honor, nothing was left to the prior daughter. And that's basically what the will was saying. We're not leaving you anything because we have this other agreement that we're mad about, which was the divorce agreement. It was some very disappointing information to find out about someone I always respected and looked up to. So, that's not even the worst part of it, Your Honor. After Chris Cornell's death, the head of the estate, which would be his widow, went to court, asked if the will could be redacted, and Your Honor, guess which parts of the will she wanted redacted, and only those parts. I'm waiting, Your Honor. Take a guess. The part about Lily, the prior daughter. They're the only 2 pieces that were redacted, Your Honor. And I have the redacted version and the complete version, which I can show you in court. Now, someone leaked that will, the full text, without the redactions. So the public got to see the true will in its entirety and learn that one of the main priorities for these people that now have Chris Cornell's money and property was making sure the public did not find out how mercilessly and viciously the prior daughter was cut out of the will. Now, whose image were they trying to protect with that, Your Honor? That's the real question. Were they trying to protect Chris Cornell, who's now deceased, his image? Or were they trying to protect their own? It's a question I have, and I think I know the answer. It appears, that they were trying to protect their own image, that they may have had orchestrated it or had something to do with the first daughter being cut out, and they didn't want the public to know that, because again, image is everything to a publicist, Your Honor, and we're dealing with a publicist family. So we can't have that we were instrumental in getting the first daughter cut out of the will mercilessly, where even at the beginning we say that she's not even one of the kids I'm describing in here. They were messages that they wanted to send. That's why it's right at the top. Anyway, so yes, Your Honor, Chris Cornell's widow went to court, had the will redacted because she did not want the public to find out that the prior daughter from the prior marriage was cut out. Personally, I believe, or my opinion is, they were trying to protect their image, not their deceased husband and father's image. I don't know. I'm pretty sure what it was about, though. Anyway, so that's the story with the will, Your Honor. And they were quite upset that that will leaked because, why wouldn't you be? It exposes who you are as a person. So, of course, they were upset. And I'm glad it was leaked because the truth needs to be out. Not publicist lies, the truth. That's what I'm about. That's why I'm here. So the will. So right from the beginning, the first thing that threw me about these people that inherited everything Chris Cornell had after his death, one of the things that threw me is Chris Cornell's funeral was scheduled to be on my birthday, Your Honor. So I was waiting for the day of the funeral and waiting for my birthday, and I just thought to myself, it's going to be a sad birthday because Chris Cornell's funeral also, and he had just died. I wasn't looking forward to my birthday. Someone called me or messaged me or something, one of my viewers, and told me, yeah, they just cremated him. I said, what? They just cremated him? His funeral's on Friday. There's millionaires flying in from all over the world. There's not going to be a body on display? That's kind of strange. It was almost as if, Your Honor, they wanted to get rid of the body as quick as possible. Years later, when someone asked the matriarch of the family, why did they cremate him so fast? She said that they waited 10 days and then they cremated him. Unfortunately, Your Honor, that's not true. And why it was necessary to tell that lie, I don't know. Because it was 5 days, not 10. Why they need to double the time? Because people were asking questions and they had to think of an answer. Again, you got to ask yourself, Your Honor, why is the lie necessary? Why are you saying that we cremated him 10 days after his death when they cremated him 5 days after his death? His funeral wasn't even 10 days after his death. His funeral fell inside that 10-day window. So there you have one of the members of the family literally lying about the time frame. Why? Why are they lying? What are they trying to hide with that? So actually, Chris Cornell was cremated 5 days after his death. And I figured, okay, he died, and, millionaires are going to fly in from all the world on my birthday and view the body, and it'll be real sad. And nope, cremated him before the funeral, Your Honor. And that's when it all turned around for me, when I started going the other direction. I got a gut feeling that something was wrong with this. Why are they cremating him before his funeral? Doesn't make sense to me. My brother was cremated. He died years ago, Your Honor. And we didn't cremate him before the funeral. We had his body in a casket, so his friends and loved ones that he knew could come say their last goodbyes. Over 100 people showed up. It would have been awful strange to have him cremated before the funeral when you have over 100 people showing up to say their goodbyes. They can say goodbye to an urn. So I've actually lived this situation. And my brother was not religious. He did not necessarily want to be buried in a Christian type graveyard. He had no interest in that religion or anything like that. And again, we didn't cremate him before the funeral, and he had a bad head injury. Again, these funeral parlors can work miracles as far as presentation. I was even surprised. I even asked the funeral director himself as I was sitting consulting with him. I said, is he going to be okay to open casket? Is it going to be okay? He said, don't worry about it. He said, it's going to be okay. I was like, okay, all right, good. Because for me, I wanted to say goodbye to him because I hadn't seen him in years. And his friends, I knew they were all coming. And he had a lot of friends. A lot of people liked him. And we didn't cremate him before. So anyway, Your Honor, this is when it turned, because the first video I did about these people or about this situation, Chris Cornell's death, was again a Dr. Drew video. Dr. Drew had commented on the death. I was still stunned. I figured, even though I'm talking about other things, this is important to me. Let me do a video about it. Had no idea where it was going to go. No idea, Your Honor. So I do a video about Dr. Drew talking about Chris Cornell's death. It blows up. It gets 40,000, 50,000. I think eventually at the end it had like 200,000 views. It blew up, Your Honor. And all of a sudden I have thousands of people that want to listen to me talk about this subject, email me about this subject. And many of them sent me information that did not put a positive light on certain people. So I had that information. I had people telling me, yeah, you don't know these people, dude. You need to look into this more. You don't know what they're really about. And I admit, Your Honor, at the time, I knew nothing about these people. All I knew Chris Cornell. I had followed his career from the time I was a teenager. I didn't know who he married, what his personal life was like. Again, even when I did the Dr. Drew video, and I read about his wife calling the police or trying, you know what I mean? All the statements that were put out about his wife and what she tried to do that night. And I just presented it. Oh, it sounds like a loving wife who's concerned about her husband. Because I didn't know, Your Honor, I'm going to be honest here, I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I didn't know any details. I went by the publicity, if you get my drift. Well, people told me, yeah, you don't know these people. You need to look into things. And then I got the message shortly after I did that video. I don't know, days after. I can't remember. They just cremated him. Wait, his funeral's in a few days. What do you mean they just cremated him? His funeral's going to be on my birthday. What are you talking about? Doesn't make sense. And that's when I got the gut feeling. And that's when it all turned for me. And I thought, maybe there's more to this than meets the eye. And that's when I decided to start an investigation and use my intelligence to see if I could get reactions out of people. If they didn't react, if that never saying my name was real and they never reacted to me, I'd be like, I guess I'm not on anything here. They did react, and immediately they reacted. And all through the years, this I was able to keep it going for 5 years, something like that. I had their attention the whole time. I still have it today, Your Honor. You think TikTok shut me down in a month when they had no clue who I was? My largest video got 1,500 views. Do you think no one was behind that? Of course they were. I still have their attention to this day, which tells me something. And the fact, Your Honor, it kind of gives the game away that they would never say my name. Yet they're doing all these things behind the scenes to ruin me. That gives the game away. And again, everyone else was presenting Pizzagate and Pedogate associated with this. I was the only guy that was just looking at who has motive, who benefited. Like a real detective. Who has motive, who benefited. That's where I looked first. So, what I immediately found out in the beginning, again, we found out that their history as a family begins with, the last few generations, begins with a restaurant and fur business. I'm from Jersey. That sounds like a certain thing to me, Your Honor. Maybe you don't know about that, or maybe you don't think so. I don't know. Restaurant and fur business. Then we find out, and this is some really, again, Your Honor, this is why I think what I think. This is one of the worst pieces of information that I found out, and we found it out relatively close to the beginning. The lawyer, the estate used as a spokesman, did an interview with an outlet called Law Dragon, and boy, was he just thrilled to do it. This was his big moment. In that interview, the lawyer said, it may seem kind of funny that the estate called me, since I'm an insurance attorney, and I believe they called me within minutes of Chris Cornell's death. Then the lawyer proceeds about 5 more times to try and explain away the fact that Chris Cornell's widow first thought after her husband's death was, I need to call the insurance attorney. He admitted that. He admitted that she called him minutes after Chris Cornell's death. They even put it in Wikipedia. I have a feeling I know why they did that. They think by putting it in Wikipedia, Your Honor, that it doesn't make it disgusting. It's still disgusting, even though it's in Wikipedia. And we were kind of the first to put that information out. So again, Your Honor, he explained about 5 more times why. I know it seems weird that they called an insurance attorney, but I'm really just a spokesman. Why do you need to over-explain that 5 times in an interview? That's supposed to be about your law career. And he admits in the interview, Your Honor, that he is an insurance attorney. That is what he does. That's his main thing. And it might be weird that an estate calls an insurance attorney minutes after a famous person's death that they allegedly love. But, I was just a spokesman. So we have that, Your Honor. We have literal direct evidence out of their own lawyer's mouth that they called an insurance attorney minutes after Cornell's death. Now, when a lawyer uses the word minutes, that means under 10 to me. That's what I get when a lawyer says minutes after. Because lawyers try to be specific with their wording. And minutes after, that could be under 5 or under 10. That's the way I look at it. Again, Your Honor, I don't know about you. If your wife died, husband died, anyone out there, would you be on the phone to an insurance attorney within minutes of their death? No, you wouldn't. Of course not. A normal person would not do that. So that was a really damning piece of information, and despite them admitting it publicly, it makes it no less disgusting, Your Honor. And here's another thing, Your Honor, that sheds some light on this whole spokesman thing. That he was acting, the estate's lawyer, Mr. Pasek, was acting in a spokesman capacity. That was the claim being made by everyone. Well, years later, via greed and lawsuits, because again, this is a publicist family that uses the court system to intimidate people, cost them money, etc. You know the routine, Your Honor. You know what the courts are used for by people that have money and companies that have money. You know the routine. So, we find via a lawsuit against Chris Cornell's former bandmates that his widow was contacting a business associate named Rit Veneris. And she got right to the point. It was basically, hello, hey, do we have insurance on that tour? And eventually, when Rit responds, Rit tried to, give a story from his life and talk to her like they were actually, he tried to express his condolences and be nice to her. She didn't care about none of that in the emails, and that's obvious, Your Honor. It was about the insurance money. And what I believe that phone call was to let all parties involved with Chris Cornell's former business as a singer, to let all parties know that if they were going to try and fuck her out of any money, she's got a lawyer ready to jump on it like a dog. She wanted to let those parties know. She wasn't asking for advice from Rit Veneris. Although she did ask Rit Veneris, I know we have insurance on this tour, but since you've just told me that, Rit responds, yeah, there's insurance. I believe there's a policy on the tour. Basically, the fear was palpable in the emails, and she was worried that she wasn't going to get paid. She even used that phrase. Is there a chance we won't get paid? That's what she said to Rit in the email. And Rit kindly told her, well, these things aren't cut and dry. You know, is there a chance we won't get paid? I got this great lawyer I can get on it, she says. Rit says again, these things aren't cut and dry. You might want to get someone to take a look at it. And again, I really believe that call was, or that email was a threat, not like asking for advice. Should I get a lawyer? You already had a lawyer involved. She already had a lawyer involved. That's the point I'm trying to make, Your Honor. She didn't need to get the lawyer on anything. The lawyer was already on it. Trust me. And that's proven by what we see here. So we have 4 days prior, when the gentleman died, Chris Cornell, we have a lawyer out there saying, and a family out there saying, oh, we just called him as a spokesman. We don't need his insurance expertise, literally what he does for a living. Again, Your Honor, that's like me saying, you see these men painting my walls in my home? Yeah, I didn't hire them to paint. I hired them to walk my dog. I hired them as a spokesman for me. I know you see them painting, but I didn't hire them for that. They're not here for that. That's not what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be a spokesman for me. That's why I hired them. Yeah, that's bullshit, Your Honor. We both know it. Everyone knows it. And I have the evidence. I'm giving it to you now. So, in a matter of 4 days, we go from, I just called this insurance attorney as a spokesman. That's what he's claiming. Then 4 days later, in an email about some insurance money, she says, I've got this great lawyer I can get on it. What lawyer would you think that would be? The insurance attorney that's being the spokesman for the family, Your Honor? Yeah, me too. Me too. I think that too. And it kind of proves that. And whether she had another lawyer in mind, that doesn't matter either. There's a reason the name wasn't used. There's a reason Mr. Pasek or Kirk's name wasn't used in that email. But it proves, Your Honor, that, yeah, he wasn't just a spokesman. And there were insurance issues being discussed that first night on the phone, minutes after her husband died. We know this because 4 days later, she's asking about a policy, says, I have this great lawyer that can jump on it. We have it in black and white, Your Honor. So when the estate made the claim that this person was just for, he was a friend of the family and, we're just going to use him as a spokesman, an insurance attorney, Your Honor, after a famous person commits suicide. Yeah, he's just there to be a spokesman, right? No, they're worried they're not going to get paid on a suicide because that's negligence, Your Honor. And this is what I've been saying since day one. And they've given many indicators that there were insurance issues. Their attacks on the ruling Detroit made on his death, that he committed suicide. They didn't rule it accidental because of drugs. This is the ruling they were looking for since the moment Chris Cornell took his last breath. That's why this statement ready the next morning, written by an insurance lawyer, saying, blaming it on drugs, to get that idea out in the consciousness. I didn't know she was a scientist or a doctor and knew so much about these drugs. But that's where they placed the blame. The next morning, statement already ready, blaming it on the drugs. When they got the ruling on Chris Cornell's death months later from Detroit, or however long it took, they lost their damn mind because it got ruled a suicide, not an accidental death via drugs. So it was their mission to get something to contradict that or get the Detroit authorities to change the ruling. To the point, months later, even though they couldn't go pick up Chris Cornell's body because they were too busy on the phone with an insurance lawyer, they made his brother go do it, who they then proceeded to talk shit on for years. They couldn't be bothered to go pick up the body in Detroit. But months later, Your Honor, right around when the trolling campaign started to subside a little bit on my channel, not subside, it just went away all of a sudden. Right around that time, Chris Cornell's widow, with another insurance attorney who's affiliated with Kirk Pasick, they fly down to Detroit in kind of a panic. And they want to meet with the medical examiner. And they're pressuring the medical examiner and the Detroit authorities to change their ruling. And the Detroit authorities said, we will not be intimidated, or we will not change our ruling because of these types of things. It was obviously for insurance purposes. You don't fly down to Detroit with an insurance attorney if it doesn't involve insurance. So they never got the Detroit authorities to change the ruling. But what they did do is they eventually sued the doctor, and they got a letter from that doctor, and I assume in the settlement that no one knows the details of, that the letter was the most important thing, that they needed something they could present as an argument to an insurance company so they would get the full payments they were looking for. Because I imagine for suicide, insurance companies pay considerably less. I'm just guessing, because there's negligence involved. They have an argument in court. They have a negligence argument. And, that's a fair argument, in my opinion. If I take out a life insurance policy and I kill myself the second I'm over the threshold, it's not fair to the insurance company. That's a scam. It's a scam being pulled. So I imagine right around the time they went to Detroit, and this is pure speculation on my part, Your Honor, I imagine right around that time they flew to Detroit in a panic with another insurance attorney. I imagine they got a determination from the insurance company right around that time. Just guessing by the behavior. So I have a feeling in the end, Your Honor, the letter they got from the doctor, that they used that to present to the insurance company to make some type of argument. And that's what they really wanted. Just guessing, though. I'll continue this in the next installment, Your Honor.